Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from the UK. Today is the 7th of February 2025. I'm so glad you're joining me today to talk about some knitting and crochet. I'm all confused these days, guys. I had a thing at work the other day where I thought we're already in March because I'm just all over the place, and it may show my knitting and my crochet, so apologies for that. But I am here, I have made it. I was planning to record yesterday and completely forgot. But today is Friday, it's my day off. So yeah, here we are to talk about some finished objects. And I have quite a few. The first, they don't look quite as finished anymore. And these are my son's school socks with a twist. So as you can tell, they are very sort of plain socks. And then inside his shoes, they're very colourful. I mentioned last week that I probably wouldn't show you these again because these would go on my son's feet as soon as they're finished. And they have. But it just so happens I have... let's talk about them first. So these are 52 stitch socks for a EU size, sort of 29-ish, which I think is a UK 10, who knows. They're for my 4-year-old son, who has big feet. I knit them top down. I used the heel from a Pal Soho toddler sock because I figured that maybe a sort of heel flap construction might work better for him, and I think it does. I think this works better, and I think these kinds of heels, if you have feet that grow all the time, I think it's easier for them to stretch into these sort of heels rather than a Fish Lips Kiss or another sort of short row heel. Except I don't do sort of a patterned heel flap. I just do plain stockinette, which I think works just fine and is the easiest for me. And I think it just makes it look really good. So anyways, I used Filcolana Alweta for the grey, and then I used some neon striping, I striped 2 neon minis from Indie Yarn Club here in the UK. I think they may have been her, oh, I don't even know. Sometime last year I got these minis and they're very bright and they work really well for my son. As you can tell, these socks don't look new anymore. And that is because I think I mentioned in the past that my husband is really hard on his socks. And it turns out, I mean, just look at that. My son is even worse. His socks, like as soon as he's worn them for about 30 minutes, they look like this. But I don't care, he loves them. And these have been washed, I think, 2 or 3 times already, because he's been wearing them non-stop to school and around the house and everywhere he goes. So you can tell there's some felting. I think this may be where his, maybe, I don't know. He must be rubbing them somewhere. Maybe his shoes. I don't know. There's quite a significant amount of felting. But they are holding up and they are being worn, and that is exactly what I want them to be used for. So I am really happy with that. So yeah, they are done. And just by chance, because I washed them last night, I got them here to show you. I also finished my husband's socks. Apparently I am knitting for other people at the moment. So I finished these socks for my husband Kai. This yarn is, again, Filcolana Alweta for the heels, cuffs and toes, because I love that yarn. And then this is a one of a kind, I believe, Zakami yarn. It doesn't have a colorway name. I got it in one of her sort of surprise mystery boxes. It is a non-superwash 100% merino yarn, so I'm not sure, especially seeing how hard my husband is on his socks, how long these will last, but we will find out. And at least I've got proper sock yarn for the heels and toes, so maybe that'll help. But yeah, they are done. I had a week of trying to just get things done. I felt a bit overwhelmed with the amount of whips I have going. And I really want to start some sweaters, which I'll talk about later. So this week has been very much about just focusing on a project and getting it done. So I got these socks done, and they're actually 64 stitches because I started them in my size and then Kai claimed them. So what I did is I increased for the heel. So I made a heel over, I think, I don't know, 36 or something stitches. And I didn't take additional stitches from the top, I actually increased. and then I decreased again right after the heel, so the heel is a bit more roomy. So I think these will fit him really nicely, because if anything, if he wears my socks, they're just sort of tight along the top here. And I think by having a bigger heel, that should be fine. So they are also done. And then, very excitingly, I finished my blanket. So this is the Magnus Throw, which is a kit by Lion Brand Yarns. And I got the original kit in the original colors. Which you get 5 balls of Lion Brand woolies in the sort of mustardy color, and 5 balls of Scarfy Light, which is, it's not a blown yarn, but it has a similar texture. I'm not really sure how they make it. And yeah, I finished it. I didn't use all of the yarn because I don't know how big that thing would have been huge and really, really long if I did. But it's a really good, sizable blanket, like way bigger than a lap blanket. And we want it on the couch anyway, so I didn't need to fit a certain bed size. And sometimes I think blankets, some of them, the dimensions are sort of for a single bed, and then they just turn out really long, and I don't want that. But this one, I don't know, I love it. It's really big. The only modification that I made is that I made the tassels as I went along. And I think the original patterns has you then add in more tassels in between, so you do sort of twice the amount of those, but I didn't do that. I had enough, and I think actually it finishes off quite nicely. It's just a fun sort of visual contrast. And yeah, otherwise I just followed the pattern. I used a 5.5mm hook, and I basically kept going until I used 4 balls of the woolies. So I have 1 ball left over of each color. And yeah, this is so cozy. I'm not sure how, I mean, it's going to be fine for a while. Because the Scarfy Light is sort of very fluffy, I'm not sure how it will wash and wear. I will report back. But this is by far the fluffiest and coziest blanket I've made in a long time, and everyone in my family is really excited about it. And also I'm just really glad to have this done, because as you may know, I'm still sort of counting, you know, yarn out of stash and yarn coming into stash. And I made some good progress in January because I also did a massive donation. So I had something like 3 kilos of yarn out of stash. And obviously finishing a big project means I can now note that yardage on weight down. And I already have a plan for the leftovers because my boss's son is looking to get into crochet. So I think he will get the leftover ball of each yarn, and that should hopefully serve him well. So yeah, 3 finished objects for this week. And otherwise, like I said, I have been trying to finish things. So this is not finished yet, but I have made a lot of progress on my brioche scarf, which I have mentioned many times on this podcast now. But let's just show it to you very quickly. It is becoming quite big. I remember as a child, we used to say that you need to make a scarf as tall as, or as long as you are tall. And this is about as long as I am tall. But I think it needs to be bigger. So I am on my 4th ball of yarn. And this is where I joined my 4th ball. So I think last time I showed it to you, I was on a blue stripe somewhere. Oh, I don't know anymore. I think I was here. So this is how much I've done this week, which is quite a bit. And I have 5 balls of yarn, which is how much the lady at the store told me to buy. So I'm maybe halfway through my 4th ball. So I'm going to finish this ball and then I'm going to decide. Because I was thinking, if I don't use the 5th ball, I could probably eke out a matching hat. And that could be cute, but I also don't really need that. So I haven't decided yet. We will see. I'll definitely make myself finish this 4th one and then see how big it is. But I do think I want it to be sort of oversized because it already fits really nicely. Like I can wrap it, it's fine. And it's going to block out a bit as well. But I like the idea of this almost being a bit like a stole where even when you wrap it, it's really long. So I think that's why I need to keep going. So yeah, That is my brioche scarf. It's very simple. It is just one color brioche in this color changing yarn. This is Rico Mélange Decay in the colorway 17. So yeah, I've been working on this and basically Kai socks most of this week. But I did do one sneaky cast on, and look how bright it is. So I mentioned I'm trying to reduce stash, and part of that is me trying to use up yarn and stash that has been there for a long time and I don't really know what to do with it. And I have been thinking about a very, very bright neon hat for a while. And the other day when I was ordering some Filcolana Aweta, like the greys that I got for my son's socks, I got a couple of different greys, and I needed to make I need to buy more yarn to get free postage. So I looked at mohair because I'm at the moment just thinking if I can combine mohair with what I have with stash in a way I'm basically getting stuff out of stash. And so I was really into the sort of neon colors, and then I realized I have a very bright neon sock yarn. And this is Socks Yeah by Rachel Coopy. I think it's Coop Knits. I believe this is the Helium colorway, and I got this in her Neon and Neutrals sock club in, oh god, back when we were in Munich, 2018 maybe? A long time ago. I have two 50-gram balls of this. So I decided to buy some mohair that matches reasonably well and make a muscle bra hat. And that's what I'm doing. So here we are. It is insanely bright. And no, I'm not making this for my son. I'm making that for me because it gives me joy. I like a neon hat. I'm really into sort of bright colors at the moment. And yeah, somehow this just, I want a muscle bra hat in every color essentially. So I can then match with my outfits. And because I have a grey coat, like a sort of charcoal coat, and I don't know how well it's going to go with my beige one, but yeah, my coat situation is pretty sort of subdued. So I think this will be really, really fun, and I am very excited by it. So yeah, I am holding the Socks Yeah sock yarn with Filcolana Tilia. I think this may be her their lemongrass colorway. And yeah, it is very bright and very, very fun. And I am, of course, making the muscle bra hat by Isolde Teague. So I took this with me today, and this morning we went for a little coffee after dropping off my son at school. And this is just the perfect sort of to-go, on-the-go knitting. I haven't done very much on it because I sort of started it and then tried to get other stuff finished first. But I'm really enjoying it, and I got some of these tiny interchangeable knit brown gingers on sale the other day, and with a slightly longer cable they work really well. So yeah, that is another thing that I have cast on, and I'm quite excited by it. Before we talk about my upcoming sweater plans, I thought I would quickly mention what I am wearing, because I did sort of sort through my wardrobe the other day and got rid of a lot of stuff, because I have a lot of knitwear, but otherwise I like to have a sort of minimal wardrobe, because then I can just find what I need, and otherwise I just lose stuff. So I found a whole lot of sweaters that I sort of shoved in there and forgot about, and this is one of them. This is the Otra, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's the Otra sweater by Skandir, who is Ellie, who I'm sure most of you will have heard of. I have knit many of her patterns, and this one has a really fun construction because it is sort of a top-down drop shoulder design in colorwork, with 3 steeks, so one for each arm and one for the neck hole. But instead of sort of doing the back and then doing the front, you sort of do it all in once. So it's really clever. You can see here it had a really fun construction. And I think there was a method with and a method without short rows. So I did the one with the short rows, which I think it just looks really cool. I mean, a non-knitter wouldn't notice, but I like it. So I found this. It's a little bit cropped and a little bit small because I think I did maybe wash it a bit. Yeah, I mean, I could have been more gentle, but it is still fine. So I've been wearing this with a sort of high-waisted skirt, and actually lots of people have commented on it, which is nice. So yeah, this has made me realize that maybe I would like to make another one of these. I've even considered, what if I make the pattern again, except I would just continue the color work down, because I think it's a really fun color work. It's very simple. And then it works with the plain sleeves as well, and it would be really fun. So I might just do that one day. Yeah, I haven't decided yet, but I am definitely considering it. What else is there to say? I used Danish yarn from a company I can't pronounce. I think it's Garnetsalg. I'm not sure if they still exist. I presume they do. But they used to have really, really affordable sort of lamb's wool yarn. I think it was called Black Hill lamb's wool. That, you know, it comes and it's really crunchy. And then once you wash it, it just softens up, similar to, say, Holsgarn or JC Rennie. But I prefer this to Holsgarn, I will be honest. And I think I still have some of this in stash somewhere. But I made this a long time ago, and I'm really happy to be wearing it again. It's just really, really warm. With that, like, it's a fingering weight yarn. It's not a heavy yarn at all, but it just fluffs up and it creates a really nice sort of cozy fabric. And yeah, that's what I'm wearing today. So let's talk about some sweater plans, because as you probably know, I love making garments, and I usually make loads of garments, and I've just stopped because I think I sort of overexerted my garment knitting at the end of last year. So in the beginning of this year, I finished my Nebula sweater, I finished my all over colorwork Cliver sweater. Yeah, and then I just sort of got overwhelmed and knit lots of accessories, but I am getting back into it. So I have 2 garments that I am planning. The first one is another all over colorwork sweater, and that is the Iris sweater by, I meant to look this up, is it Therese Annelie? I have the pattern. It's a really popular one. It's a beautiful all over colorwork pattern, but unlike my previous, like the Cliver sweater, this one has a really sort of large iris motif. And of course, this was my Christmas gift to myself. Before Christmas, I ordered the kit for it. So I got the original colors for this sweater. I think I'm going to make size 2 or size 3. So I got the size 2 to 3 kit. And this is, of course, Holsgarn Super Soft. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of another big sweater, because it's fingering weight, it's on a tight gauge. I'm not sure if it's like a 27-ish. Maybe I'm making it up, but it's a sort of, it's going to be a bit of a labor of love. I think it's also done top down, so there'll be some sort of setting it all up, and I'm really excited about it, but I'm not sure if I'm ready for it quite yet. But this is definitely a project that I plan to knit very soon, and I've also coaxed a friend of mine to knit it with me. So I shall show you that. And I have just realized I didn't show you my waistlet shawl, so I shall show you that in a second. But let's keep talking about sweaters. That is sweater number 1 that I want to make. Sweater number 2 that I want to make is going to be a knit along with my sister, because I got my sister into knitting, or basically she got herself into knitting. She's been crocheting for a while, and she's decided to knit sweaters now, and she is currently, I think, on the 2nd sleeve on her first sweater, which we cast on together over Christmas. And she has decided that she wants to knit a Sunday sweater by Petite Knit next. And of course I said I would knit along with her. So I was thinking I really wanted to use stash for this. I made 3 Sunday sweaters, which all of them I love. I lost my favorite one at the airport in Portugal, which is really, really sad. So I have 2 at the moment, and all of the ones that I've made are sort of white, beige or grey, which is really boring. So I wanted to make a colourful one, and I looked in stash yesterday, but I want to make one with a mohair held with a light fingering, whether that's a holst or something like that. And I didn't quite find the combination that I liked in stash. The only combination where I had both of the yarn, the mohair and a matching sort of, I think a JC Rennie that I could use with it, was a mustard yellow. And I don't know, I really don't want to knit a mustard yellow sweater right now. So one idea that I had, because I really like this mohair that I'm using for my muscle hat, this Filcolana Tilia lemongrass. I have two sort of sweater quantities that I could hold with this to make a very bright Sunday sweater. I mean, because I'm not holding it with a neon, it won't be as bright, but it would be quite bright. So I thought about those, either buying more of this and either holding it with this Garthenor number 4 blend, which is a lace weight yarn. And I might still do that one day. Or I have some of this BC Garn Yorkshire, which I think they may have discontinued, I'm not sure. But it didn't quite feel right, and I can't show you the color combination that I chose in the end because I have ordered the mohair, but it hasn't arrived yet. But I have decided on a very sort of bright teal blue, and I'm really excited about it because I have a coast of a sort of teal Holsgarn. I have a massive cone of it. Making a Sunday sweater with mohair is sadly not going to use it up, but at least I'll be using some of it. So I've ordered more Tilia in the, I think, Royal Ocean, something like that. Ocean Royal Blue? Something like that. So that is the other garment that I am planning to make soon. Which means I'll have one that is sort of intense and then one, the Sunday sweater, is going to be easy and pretty relaxed to knit. And it'll be nice to knit it with my sister. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, I completely forgot to show you my West Knits glow along, so I shall get that and show that to you in a second. Right, Awesome Gossamer. That's the shawl that I'm knitting by West Knits. He's sort of doing it as a knit along, but you could start before the official start date. You could already get the pattern. So I think it's officially started yesterday on February 6th, but I started way earlier. I basically started the day I got my yarn, and the yarn that I have for this is by Mayflower, which I think is a Danish company. At least I ordered it from Denmark. So this is the Mayflower Super Silk Kit Silk Mohair, something like that. It's their mohair. I showed it to you last week, and I do have a Ravelry page for this one. So if you do want to look up the colors, you can do so. And this, I chose the colors very, very much inspired by a kit from Stephen West himself that they sold in their West wool mohair, except this was a lot more affordable. And yeah, here we are. I am apparently, oh no, I'm not in the middle of a row, so I can show this to you. I did finally put this on a longer cable so you get a bit more of an idea. And yeah, this is where we are with it. As per usual, it's blowing out a bit. It's a bit more saturated. And I think the colors are working really, really nicely. So I finished the small bubbles and I am now onto the medium bubbles. And it's already huge. I'm only halfway through the medium bubble section, and this is huge. And it's supposed to have the large bubble section, and then it'll have a quite sizable border as well, which is really, really pretty. So I am thinking about omitting the large bubbles. I'm not sure yet. I can't show this to you properly because it's all curling in, but can you see how big it is already? So I need to look into it. I have looked into it a bit, and I think the clever thing to do would have been to use one color less. And then just sort of go into the medium and large bubbles a bit sooner, because essentially it all builds into each other. So if I were to just skip the large bubbles, I could still do the chevron border with some mass, but then the chevrons would be smaller as well, because it all sort of flows into each other. But I might still do that, or I don't know, if I could also start the large bubbles and then just not do all of them. But then I do like the fact that you basically cycle through all of the colors in each section. So you cycle once through the garter, once through the small bubbles, once through the medium bubbles, and so on. And I did, stupidly, the way I planned out my colors is by making sure that I wanted to end on the gray. So obviously if I now start jumbling things around too much, I won't do that, which isn't the end of the world, but it's just annoying because I planned it out. So yeah, I haven't decided yet. I think what I'm going to do is finish the medium bubbles, and then I need to have a proper word with myself and decide what I want to do. I will also say that these rows now are insanely long already, and they're going to get much, much, much longer. So doing the large bubbles is going to be a serious commitment. So I should make my mind up first if I want to do that. And if I do, it'll be fine. I'm happy to do it. I don't want to cop out. It's just that this shawl is quite a bit of money in terms of buying all the mohair and quite a lot of knitting time. And if it turns out to be like a blanket, I'm not going to wear it. And I want to definitely have a wearable shawl in the end. So I think I just need to be very realistic about what will be useful for me in terms of the finished object rather than just speeding through the pattern because that's what it says. So yeah, I will keep you updated, but I have made a fair bit of progress. But then it's sort of gone to the back burner a bit. And just look at the back. Isn't the back so pretty as well with these cross stitches? I think it looks so beautiful. It's at least as beautiful as the front, in my opinion. So yeah, that is my poor, neglected, almost not mentioned Westnitz Awesome Gossamer shawl. Alright, you guys, I think that is definitely it for today. It's been a bit of a longer episode, but that's fine. In terms of life stuff, it's been another intense week. We've had a exterminator problem last year, and this year, all of a sudden, about a week ago, it started smelling really bad in our kitchen. And I thought we had some kind of dead, I don't know, mouse or rat or something in the wall. And I was freaking out because we definitely solved our rodent problem, but that would be annoying. So we were freaking out a bit, and then we had the exterminator over this week, and it turns out we don't have a dead rodent, we have a drain pipe leak in the kitchen, which is really annoying. And of course our plumber is nowhere to be seen, so we're dealing with that at the moment. But, I mean, I am very glad I don't have a rotting animal in my kitchen wall, so that's the good thing. I mean, this can be fixed quite easily, I think. But yeah, it's just been sort of a mad week of running around and catching up, and yeah, it's just a bit much on every level at the moment. But I think, fingers crossed, touch wood, probably have jinxed it now, but I think things are about to slow down a bit, which is good. Just in time for half term and us having visitors over and all of that, but... Anyhow, I've been doing a lot of stress knitting, which you can probably tell by the amounts of socks and plain knits, but I'm really hoping to be able to get more into happy, joyful, exciting knitting again soon, and I think I will. I'm feeling much better now. These past few days have been a bit better. So yeah, the joys of, you know, owning a house and all of that, owning an old house. It's always throwing us new challenges. I think this one is throwing us a bit more than we expected because it looked really, really well kept when we bought it. But, oh well, such is life, right? Anyways, that is my live talk for this week. And we're at 28 minutes, so I'm going to let you go and maybe do some stitching today. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know what you're working on. I always enjoy hearing that. And until I see you again, I hope that you are safe and healthy and well and have some yarn to play with. Thank you again for watching, and I shall talk to you again very, very soon. Bye!